Welcome, Veritas family. Thank you so much for joining us at Give and Take. I'm Sherry Davis, and I am here with Krista Smith. Hey, Krista.
Hey, how are you?
Doing fine. Thanks so much for joining us. If you are watching live or in replay, be sure to tell us where you're watching from in the comments. We would love to see where you're from. Um, Krista is here today. We're going to be promoting some courses that are starting in Module B. Krista, tell us the name and designation of your course, and we'll just dive right in.
So I'm teaching special education, a special education course called Teaching Students with Learning Disabilities. So this is SPED 310, and it's a 3 credit course, and it's offered in Summer B.
Okay, very good. Tell us who can benefit from this course. Who can take it? Who would it be required for? All that good stuff.
Right. So general education majors would really benefit from this course because with the way that classrooms are today, most teachers, okay, all teachers have some students in their classroom
Right.
that have learning disabilities, and they may be able, to stay in that general education classroom, but they need supports, they need accommodations, and they need a teacher who has some tools to offer, to help them, give them hope. And so they would definitely benefit. And then special education minors or majors will need to take this course as well, just as a part of, their load. So
Yeah, that's great. What is the course load like in your course? What kind of assignments can anybody look forward to?
right. So I try to make my courses predictable as far as each week you're doing approximately the same types of projects. So you'll have a reading that's assigned from the textbook, and you'll be doing a review of that reading. So basically providing a summary, answering some questions, and asking me some follow-up questions. So that lets me know, if there's something that maybe I can help to add to what you've read in the textbook or give some more information. Then there will be lectures each week. So you'll watch those and again, answer a couple questions and then give me some questions back if there's anything that I can help with. There's a discussion board. So you'll make a post. The initial post started by Thursday. You respond to 2 classmates by Sunday at midnight. So that's just kind of, set an alarm or your calendar and keep up with it.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's 2 big projects in this course. One is an annotated bibliography, which I do a whole, short lecture just on how to do it, provide examples and templates, all the things. But basically, you get to gather resources on a special education topic that you think would help you to be a better teacher. And
So the
just
students get to choose the direction. So out of the special education, they get to hone in on a topic that they're interested in or might help them directly in their ministry.
right.
Yeah.
And this
Good.
could be with students maybe you've already worked with, or maybe you have a family member with a disability, and it would help you to be able to better help them. And it doesn't just have to be at school, it could even be in your church. Maybe you help out in junior church or, the teen group, and you see a student who's they're struggling, they're not quite fitting in, and now you might be able to know how to help. And then for your final grade, you'll make a PowerPoint presentation. It's 15 to 20 minutes, but it covers one specific disability. So it could be what you researched, for your annotated bibliography, but you'll create this in a way that you would be presenting it to colleagues. So you would be one who's introducing, here's what the disability is, here's how it happens, here's how we can help, here's what a day in the life of this kid looks like, so that your colleagues know, okay, it's real. We know how to help
Good.
now and we're ready
Yeah.
to go. So some professional development opportunities.
Yeah, I think that's great because especially on a 300 level class, you're still an undergrad program and you're still learning kind of basics of special education. I think it is really helpful to ministries to have people in the space who can take that back immediately. Like you've
Right.
learned something in the classroom this week, and then on Sunday you can take it to children's church, to Sunday school, or even the classroom if you're in a traditional classroom setting. And you don't have to have a full-blown program, although that might be on the horizon and maybe God's calling you to do that. But if you don't have a full-blown program or the resources to do that yet, implementing small changes that you've learned in a class, I think is super helpful.
Right. One of my favorite things about this particular course is that I'll have students message me and say, we learned this week in class, and I went right into my classroom or my junior church, and I was able to use this tool and it helped. I'm like, yes,
Ah,
that's what we're going for.
that's
So,
what makes it all worth it. Yeah,
yeah,
that's great. That's fun.
very practical stuff.
Tell me one or two reasons why you love this course, why you enjoy this teaching this course.
Well, that was one of them because you can take the information you just learned. It's
Yeah.
very practical and just put it right to use. For me, one of my passions is helping educators be able to help students who struggle.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love to see every Christian school be able to offer that hope to families. And
Yeah.
so this is a way of helping even general education teachers know how they can offer those first levels of support in their own classroom. And
Mhm.
then maybe know, okay, I need to seek some more help for this
Yeah.
particular student. And as the teacher can do that, they speak hope into those families. Every disability is not, it's not a judgment. It's not a bad thing. It's just different. And so
Mhm.
I had a family that came into our learning center today. They have a little boy who's going into 6th grade. He has autism. He's nonverbal. Mom was very nervous. And I said, you know what? None of what you're saying to me scares me. And just
Good.
that, she just looked at me, like, are you serious? I said,
Yeah.
this is not scary. And
Yeah.
I'll tell you ways we can help. And then you decide what best works for your family. And so
Yeah.
I think just understanding,
Yeah,
what
that's so true because it would be like us going to the doctor with something that is making us very nervous, but the doctor is like, "Yep, you came to the right place. I'm glad you're here." And it is so comforting. So to have somebody on the other end, and then for you to be training the students in your class to also be giving that hope, I think it's just such a great legacy. I'm excited to see how that pans out. Okay, so tell me if there's somebody that or something that inspired you to get into teaching or special education in particular.
Well, both of my parents have been have been and still are Christian educators for over 40 years. And
Okay.
so I grew up in the home. My dad was a administrator and still taught at the same time. And my mom taught pretty much all of the different things.
Yeah.
Some of our Christian schools were smaller and some were larger. And so we grew up in that culture. Even summers, we were working at the school, getting stuff ready for the next year. And so I would say at a very young age, I felt the Lord calling me into education.
Mhm.
And then I taught for a while, probably 12 years. And during that time, I realized I really wasn't prepared to help teenagers as much as I wanted to be able to. There were a lot of just different kinds of needs, not even all academic. So I went back and got a certification in counseling, and that was helpful. And then we adopted our daughter. And with that, we discovered she had some learning disabilities. And so our school didn't know how to help. And I remember going to my dad, who was the principal at the time, and I said, listen, I'll have to quit and homeschool her, or we have to start a program. Like these are the two options. But
Right.
the Lord gave her to us. We have to shepherd her, and I can't just let her fail. So I'd gone to a teachers conference. I had heard Dr. Joyner speak, and just very quickly, the Lord totally opened the doors for me to go to Veritas, get a master's degree in special education. While that was going on, I was literally taking the things that I learned on the master's level and putting them right into practice in our school,
Like devouring the information and putting it right in. Yeah.
training staff, establishing a program. And when I was finished, the college reached out and said, hey, would you come on staff? And
Mm.
so with that, this was probably the second or third course that I took on, and
Okay.
very meaningful to me because it's exactly what I had passion to do in our own
Right.
school.
It's what you
So
needed. Yeah. Yeah. And no doubt there are some that are watching right now that are like, oh gracious, this is exactly what I've been looking for. So with that said, last question for you today. What do you tell someone who's sitting on the fence or who is questioning, should I jump into a class at all? Should I jump into this class?
right. So it was a big decision for me to go back to school.
Mm.
And some people will look at my story and say, well, you really didn't have a choice. You needed to help your kid. But I
Mm.
know a lot of parents who don't go back to school and their
Sure.
kids need help. And so for me, it wasn't just a tool to help my own child, but to help other children. But I also want to share that it's very manageable. So I taught full time, was starting a special education program. I had two little kids at home,
Yeah.
was still able to do all of it. And so I want to applaud, the flexibility that Veritas offers. I
Yeah.
also want to just tell people that Veritas's staff are mentors, and it turns into friendships for life. And so not only are you gaining what you learn in the classroom, but you're gaining this multitude of counselors that you can
Mm.
reach out to and say, hey, this just happened. I know what you said in class. What should I try now? And so I'll have
Yeah.
students do that very frequently. Um, if you are interested at all in starting a program in your Christian school, this is important. If you just are interested in teaching, being
Mhm.
able to help those kids in your own classroom. I'll tell a lot of people who ask me, should I go back and get a degree, or should I, take this class? Should I finish these courses? More information is not going to hurt you.
Sure. Yeah.
What really causes a problem is when you don't know what to do and you
Mhm.
just try something. And sometimes we can end up hurting kids and families that way. It would be
Sure.
like a doctor giving you medicine that really you don't even need, and there's adverse side effects. And so gain knowledge, with wisdom and knowledge, you get the understanding, and just it's definitely worth it. I've never had to look at a family and say, I really regret going back to school to help your child. That's never
Sure.
happened. So I don't see any real negatives of this as long as
Well, back to your point about the mentorship aspect, not only do you get the classroom instruction, which is very hands-on, very practical, but this long-term mentorship is like gravy on the biscuit. It's not only do you get this in class, but you get this long-term relationship with somebody who can help. And I think that is worth it right there.
I've had quite a few students come and visit our program here,
Oh,
and it's
nice.
exciting. They'll get, take notes and get ideas and go back and talk with
Oh,
their
fun.
administrators. We've had two administrators come through this year from different schools just to see. So your staff will be very, your faculty will be very open to trying to help however they can. So
Oh, that's good to know. And I know that those who are watching who are wondering if that's really true, if it's genuine, if they enjoy taking those calls. And I know for a fact that they do. They are, Krista is very transparent with, fielding calls and tours and things like that. It is, they derive great satisfaction and reward for them because it is something that the Lord has shown, proven worthy in their life. Your phone calls and tours at their facilities and their situation is actually the Lord saying, "Yep, you're on the right track," and they're grateful for that. So that is a genuine thing. So I want to say to anybody watching this, um, just jump in. If you feel even a little bit that the Lord is tugging at your heart in this direction, this is a perfect opportunity to jump in. We'd love to have you. Our staff is ready and willing. Our team is here, ready to walk you through the process, the application process, all the little nitty gritty to get you back into class. And once you're into class, your instructors will take you, and will just hold your hand and walk you through the whole process. You won't regret it. Thank you so much, Krista, for joining us today. And if you're watching, again, if you're watching this, tell us in the comments where you're watching from. We would love to hear from you. And we can't wait. If you guys jump in and have questions, just message us in the comments. Somebody will get back with us, get back with you. Otherwise, we will see you next time. Thanks so much.